It was a major win for Arizona Governor Doug Ducey and Arizona schools. Voters narrowly passed Proposition 123. That measure pours more than $3 billion into education over a decade. But part of that money came from a change to how funds are distributed from the state land trust. And now a judge says Arizona voters got it wrong, potentially leaving the state and schools on the hook for more than $300 million. Good evening. I am political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged. And tonight we are talking about the lawsuit that prompted that ruling. And joining us now is the man who challenged Proposition 123 in court, Michael Pierce, and his attorney, Andrew Jacob. Now, Mr. Pierce, first of all, I think everybody is really interested and wants to hear from you. How did you get involved in this lawsuit, and why?
Well, I got involved because I felt that this whole idea of Proposition 123 was the wrong way of doing a right thing. Mm-hmm. It was a way for the legislature to abdicate their moral and legal responsibility to truly, meaningfully fund education. Mm-hmm. It was almost like smoke and mirrors trick. Mm-hmm. So it narrowly passed, as I understand, by 49.2%
sure.
to 50.8%. But it was a narrow slice, and I don't think the governor could call that a mandate.
Yeah, did any groups approach you to prompt you to do this, or was this something that you just did all on your own?
This was Michael Pierce saying that there's something wrong with this. I read the Enabling Act and found out that the procedures for amending the Enabling Act, that is our Constitution, had to be ratified by Congress before it went to the voters. Mm-hmm. And so I felt that as an elector, along with the others who had voted, we were being cynically used. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt.
And Mr. Jacob, how did you get involved in this as the attorney on this? And how much did you get paid at all to do this work?
No, I haven't been paid at all. Several years ago, I went up to Judge Wake and I told him that I was only working part-time now, and if he had an interesting case that he thought would need some help, I'd be happy to jump in. He gave me a call. I looked at what Mr. Pierce had written. I didn't know anything about mm-hmm. this area of law. I educated myself, and we took on this case as a partnership.
Yeah, and really succinctly, in layman's terms, what did you see was the problem? I mean, the state land trust is there to benefit school kids mostly, as well as some other areas in the state, but...
Well, there's land set aside just for schools, and mm-hmm. Congress was very clear back in 1912 that if the formula for making a distribution of those funds was to change, Congress had to authorize it. Mm-hmm. Change was made in 1998. The state went to Congress, they authorized it. Then in 2012, they made a change. They didn't go to Congress. Mm-hmm. Then Proposition 123, the same thing happened.
Okay, and did you really think at the beginning of all this that you had any shot at winning something like this? You have an attorney who's not getting paid on this. You are not a political type. You don't seem like somebody who's involved in a lot of political issues. You're not a high-profile individual. Do you think that the ruling would come down in your favor?
No, I was terribly surprised, but on one side of the level. But I remember Judge Wake saying at the hearing to the state's attorneys that while you may have a theory or proposition, I have to make a decision on the text mm-hmm. of the Enabling Act. And I felt quite clear that I was right in terms of the Enabling Act that gave me, a citizen of the state, mm-hmm. standing to challenge this.
Now, tell us briefly then, what does the ruling mean? Now, you guys won in court. The judge says that, this proposition, it wasn't done correctly, that it hurts the state land trust by robbing it of its, of money and stemming its growth.
The key part was the judge saying that what Congress did in 1999 did not authorize the state to make changes without going back to Congress. What happens from this point, whether what Congress just did, because Congress did, as part of the omnibus bill that they passed a couple of weeks ago, They did state that they are authorizing Proposition 123. So the question is, does that apply retroactively to what happened from 2016 until now? It clearly seems to apply from today going forward. And how does that apply to what happened from 2012 until 2016?
Yeah, because the judge ruled that that the state has to refund 2 of these payments worth well over $300 million. Do you think?
No, he has not said that. He said that's open. That's a possibility. He's asking Mr. Pierce, what do you think I should do? And that puts Mr. Pierce in an awkward situation, because who is Mr. Pierce to ask for something that someone else might not ask for? Or if Mr. Pierce says, I'm not going to ask to have that money be put back, someone else could stand up and say, well, I want to ask to have it be put back. So we're in a very awkward situation.
Yeah, and that is the question that I think a lot of people at the state capitol are asking. They're wondering, and we'll ask you right here, right now. I mean, are you going to demand that money be returned?
I'm thinking of a settlement that doesn't please Michael Pierce. I want a settlement that benefits the state of Arizona, its citizens, and their right and to have their children fully educated. I want to see, this is a wake-up call. And I'm not happy just to say, well, I won and Governor Ducey's wrong. That's first-grade politics. I think we need to do something. This is the potential. We have the potential if we're creative, and all sides are on the same page. They say we love our children. I love our children. We all do. That's a given. If we do, then I'm going to judge people by the fruits of their labor, not their talk, but what they do.
Well, it begs the question, you're talking about a settlement. Obviously, you have something in mind. What do you want?
Well, I'll tell you what I don't have in mind. I don't want a settlement where money is taken away from students. That isn't the idea. The idea is, let's get serious. We can work out a solution. I don't know what it is yet. I depend on legal counsel to work that out. But the general shape of a settlement that I see is one that meets the needs now and goes into the future. The past is already done. The law was violated. We know that. But now let's face the future and get on with what we need to do.
Yeah, but let me be clear. You had to have some sort of end goal here when you filed this lawsuit, didn't you? You had to have some kind of idea what you wanted to happen.
Well, what I wanted to happen was for the parties that I was in controversy with to admit that they were wrong, and that I wasn't the only one that told them they were wrong. The state treasurer, Mr. DeWitt, had told them. So it isn't that nasty old Michael Pierce came out of the woodwork.
I can tell you what we asked for. When we filed the complaint, what we asked for was an order saying that the state should stop distributing funds according to Proposition 123 unless Congress authorizes it. That's happened. Now, actually, Judge Wake has raised another issue in his order. What else do we do? And that's a tough question to answer. And we don't have an answer.
Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, he has said that he's leaning on you to look for types of solutions. What's possible here?
What's possible here is an order that more money should come out of the school trust fund to make up for what didn't come out in 2012 to 2016. That slightly more money or a wash would occur because what was withheld from 2012 to 2016 is about the same as what came out from 2016 until now. I haven't seen the calculations to know what the figures are yet. I think that we need to get that information from the state treasurer to see exactly what are the dollars we're talking about in those 2 time periods.
So any solution it sounds like that $300 million, you want it to go back into schools, correct?
Sure.
So you want the state to refund that in some form, and you want it to go back into schools?
I want to see our schools fully and adequately funded without tricks, without games. I want an honest approach to our future. I want us to put money at the beginning of the pipeline, not at the end. We're content to put money in our prisons. We should be more than eager to put money where it does the most good and invest in our future, the future of our children and our state.
All right. Well, on that, I think we're going to end this segment. We are running out of time. We got to take a quick break. But just ahead, guns in school safety. The governor rolls out his plan. We'll talk to the lawmakers about what happens next. Just ahead.
Teachers demanding more pay, students walking out, marching for their lives. Arizona schools are in crisis.
This scene is happening all across the valley.
All this month, 3TV explores the angst, despair, and what may be coming next.
It's not just about a raise, it's about retaining teachers and attracting teachers to the state of Arizona.
And what could it mean for families?
We deserve more, our kids deserve more, and we need it now.
All this month on 3TV, Arizona's Family.
We know car accidents don't always happen Monday through Friday. If you're hurt in a car wreck, we're available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You don't have to wait until Monday to get the help you need now.
977-1900. It's back. It's clunker time at Sullivan Motors.
Get up to $3,000 on any clunker you bring in, no matter what the condition, and drive home in your new ride. Cars, trucks, Jeeps, SUVs. But hurry, clunker time won't last long. Bring in your clunker today and get up to $3,000 off.
Want to make your love life sizzle like a Phoenix summer? Summit Male Medical guarantees to help you with ED or premature issues, or we won't charge you. We've helped tens of thousands of patients here in the Valley since 2008. Please compare our most experienced medical staff and low-price treatments to anybody. If you've talked to the rest, it's time to come to the best. Put the sizzle back in your love life. 480-398-1000 or go to summitmalemedical.com. Summit Medical, love for life.
We just found our perfect home.
And to make sure we didn't miss out, we sold this home to OfferPad.
We went to OfferPad.com, entered basic information, and the next day we had a great offer. It was that easy.
Our home never went on the market, so we skipped months of uncertainty, mortgage payments, and taxes.
With OfferPad, we picked the day we closed, and they're moving us for free. OfferPad gave us a great value.
And we wouldn't have it any other way.
OfferPad, the ultimate home selling experience. Request your free purchase offer today.
My life's journey has a steady rhythm and flow, with ups and downs as I go.
That's why I power my life with multivitamins with folic acid.
A daily multivitamin with folic acid helps my nails grow, hair shine,
and skin glow. And it helps protect against birth defects if I have a baby someday.
Catch your free vitamins and pass the word to a friend.
Go to PowerMeAtoZ.org and get your free vitamins with folic acid now.
That's PowerMeAtoZ.org to get your free vitamins. Brought to you by the Arizona Department of Health Services.
$11 million for more police on campuses, a stop order to take guns away from people deemed a threat, and what's being called enhanced background checks, all part of Governor Doug Ducey's school safety and gun violence plan. But so far, it looks like a plan that does not make anyone really happy. Welcome back to Politics Unplugged, and joining us now to talk about school safety and gun violence, our state senator Martine Quezada and Representative Maria Syms. Thank you both for being here very much. Now, first of all, this is just a draft proposal with the governor has put out there. First of all, I'd like to get your take as the resident Democrat here right now. Obviously, you guys have been opposed to anything that does not include expanded background checks. This proposal, the draft form right now, includes none of that.
Right. It doesn't include that at all, and I think that's the biggest reason why it's going to be a failed plan. It's not going to increase safety at all, and it's going to really just leave the ability for dangerous, mentally ill, and convicted felons to get their arms and weapons still. Without addressing that, we're not addressing the problem.
Now, Republicans have some other issues with that. Maybe explain what you're hearing from members of your caucus about this draft proposal.
Well, first, let me say, Dennis, I respectfully disagree with Senator Quezada's take on the draft proposal. We've had a lot of bipartisan conversations also with the governor. This is in draft form. We're working through some of the issues. And as a mom, my primary focus is to ensure school safety and have impactful legislation that protects that and also protects our individual freedoms and liberties.
Why not close the so-called gun show loophole? Now, I was talking to some Democrats, particularly Randall Friese over in the State House, or your colleague over there, and he says we don't need universal background checks, but just close that loophole at the gun show where someone can walk in there, buy a weapon with no background check.
So let me say that I think that if we approach this problem from the extremes of either side of the debate, we are not going to achieve my goal, which is impactful legislation that promotes school safety and reduces the likelihood of mass school shootings. That is my goal here. When we talk about a gun show loophole, if you really look at the statistics, most of the mass shootings did not happen because of a open gun show loophole. So I don't put that in the category of an impactful solution. Let's get away from the rhetoric. Let's get away from the idea just put out by Justice Stevens that we want to repeal the Second Amendment. And I'm so glad he did, because it reveals the true agenda of the progressive left to repeal the Second Amendment. This should not be an issue to soapbox on rhetoric. This is an issue of school safety, the safety of our children, and coming together to find common ground.
Care to respond to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's obvious that they're trying to paint this as a radical proposal, universal background checks. But in reality, the majority of Democrats support this, the majority of Republicans support this, the majority of independents support this, and the majority of gun owners support this. This is common sense, and it's being painted as a radical proposal only to satisfy the gun lobby.
Now, another sticking point has been out there is the $11 million for the school resource officers. A lot of people, on your side of the aisle have raised questions about why, we are spending money to put more cops on campuses. They should be putting that money towards counselors. What's wrong with the idea of putting an SRO on a school campus? I mean, you're hardening up these targets. You're sending a message to people who may want to do harm there that if you go on campus and do this, you're going to meet resistance.
I think if that were actually the case, I think it would be a good proposal. But all of the research shows that more increased SROs on campuses actually don't work. So all we're doing is we're putting another gun on a campus. And I think that there are better ways we could be spending that money on mental health, on behavioral therapists and counselors on the campus. Those social workers, those types of things would actually identify the problems before they ever get their hands on a gun.
Now, school resource officers, as a Republican, are you guys in support of that funding to increase those resources?
Well, I can't speak for all Republicans, obviously, Dennis, but I, as a mom who just dropped off my daughter at public school this morning, I would feel more comfortable knowing that there were school resource officers there to protect her. And it does work, respectfully, Senator. We just had a shooting in Maryland where a school resource officer, a hero, ran toward the danger and saved lives. So it does work. The proposed package not only has money for school resource officers, which is much needed, but also for behavioral health.
You care to respond to her? She's telling you that it works, and you're saying it doesn't.
Well, we can point to isolated incidences all the time, but the majority of the research out there, and you're talking to educators, you're talking to law enforcement, will tell you that it doesn't move the needle in terms of school safety. Educators, law enforcement, they're opposed to this gun plan as it is right now. Why aren't we talking to those if we're talking about school safety?
And let's talk a little bit of numbers here. We're talking about $11 million. That's about 100 school resource officers. That nearly doubles the number that we have right now. So you're looking at over 200. There are 2,000 school campuses, or nearly 2,000 school campuses across Arizona. How is that going to solve a problem when you just, have a very small percentage of these schools seeing these resource officers on campus?
Well, first of all, it does work when it's your child and there's a school resource officer in the way. It does work. We have to look at this problem holistically, right? So it's not just the school resource officers, and we are doubling them, and we need to increase that and shore it up. We also have to empower our teachers and our students to know what they can do if a tragedy occurs, and empower them to have the appropriate lockdown procedures, evacuation procedures, that there's adequate communication with law enforcement. 39, that's a number, that's a statistic everybody should be talking about. 39 reports on this young man in Florida, the killer in Florida, and nothing was done. You can't legislate against human incompetence.
But again, we're talking about now 200 school resource officers for the state. What about the 1,800 other schools who don't have one. How does that protect them?
We're going to have behavioral health addressed in this package. We're going to have, again, shoring up, empowering teachers so that they know what to do in this situation, and school administrators. School resources officers is another aspect of this, addressing mental health issues. All of these things come together to reach the goal, which again is reducing the likelihood of a school shooting in Arizona.
Now, are you happy at what you've seen in this draft proposal right now? Are you happy with how the governor is addressing school counselors?
You know, there are some good elements to this plan, but I think at the end of the day, it's unfortunate it's not going to work unless we address the real issue. And what's happening is we are approaching this problem from the wrong end of the spectrum here. We're assuming that guns are going to come onto campus. We're assuming that shooters are going to come onto campus, and we need SROs there to protect them. Instead, we should be preventing that situation from happening in the first place. That's where the mental health comes in. That's where the social work comes in. That's where the counselors come in. If we focused our efforts there, we wouldn't need SROs at the end. So we're basically saying that we're failing in the attempt to prevent guns from entering on campus in the first place with this plan.
All right.
There is one area I can agree with Senator Quezada on, and that is we need to enforce the laws before it happens. And when we have a society now where we have sanctuary cities and illegal immigrants, and we had the Kate Steinle issue and that poor young man at the Quick Trip in Arizona who are shot by illegal immigrants who obtain guns illegally, and we're not enforcing those laws, I think that we have a problem, and we need to address those things as well.
All right. Well, that segment went by really quickly. Obviously, we didn't get to everything we wanted to, but I'm sure this debate will continue. But we do have more ahead just on Politics Unplugged. Just ahead, the president comes up with a different kind of wall, a wall of soldiers. Up next, sending troops to the border. Here on Politics Unplugged.
Tired of spring cleaning those old dingy floors? Call Express Flooring today for free in-home shopping.
Just announced, get a spring explosion of savings up to 68% and no interest until 2020.
Call 800-EXPRESS.
No matter where you read it, hear it, or who quotes it, Spencer's will always beat it. Spencer's TV and Appliance. It's like having a friend in the business.
This is incredible. It's like a dream.
You ready to go surprise him? Yeah. Would you want to go do that?
Yeah. Go to azfamily.com
to nominate someone.
Arizona's Family Surprise Squad is powered by your Valley Toyota dealers.
Okay, let's go.
Great weekend start with Jamie Serretta, only on 3TV.
Being hit while riding a motorcycle can be devastating. You'll have major injuries and major hospital bills. Hurt while riding a motorcycle? You know who to call. I'm attorney Kevin Rowe, and we'll fight hard to get you every dollar you deserve.
977-1900-HOPE. Here at Window World, we provide the best quality windows and doors for the lowest price. You see, Window World windows are made with double the UV protection of most other vinyl windows. Plus, we exclusively offer Solar Zone Sun Shield glass with a 0.14 SHGC rating. That's Window Nerd Talk for the highest UV protection and heat-resistant glass available.
I couldn't believe it. I'd stayed in my room, and it was so hot in there. Now that that's in there, it's nice. It is so cool to the touch.
Window World gave us the top value and top quality for our money, and the service has been first class.
Get 6 large premium sliding windows, plus a new sliding patio door, all with Solar Zone Sunshield glass. Install tax included for one complete low price of only $4,650. Or get 7 premium slim frame windows installed for only $36.50. Call today at 602-357-0905. That's 602-357-0905.
Window World, simply the best.
For definitely less.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
You can't run.
You can't hide.
But you can escape. Correctly guess what day and time the valley will hit 103 degrees.
To win a cool cruise for 2 from Parker & Sons.
Go to azfamily.com to enter. Good luck from 3TV, Arizona's family.
And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. It's time to talk it out with our partners from First Strategic with us today, Barry Dill and Marcus Dellartino. Now, first of all, you guys watched the first segment, the man who, challenged Proposition 123 in court, challenged the governor in court, and won. What did you make of that conversation, Barry?
Well, it's a little out there, little X-File-ish kind of thing, but
Look, this is what a democracy is all about. And, you know, the gentleman has some strong opinions. He found a lawyer who had never practiced in this area of law before to go represent him pro bono. And, you know, we'll just have to see where it goes.
This is a problem, though. You've got this $340 million thing hanging over the legislature in education funding right now. At the same time, school teachers are demanding 20% pay raises, not walking out of classrooms yet, but participating in walk-ins. It's a problem.
You know, honestly, I don't think it's as big a problem as everybody thinks it is, because looking at this man and listening to what he said both in the newspaper and today on the show, it seems to me he wants to do the right thing. He has no interest in taking money from children's education. Yeah. He wants to make sure that the Constitution's upheld, is what I'm hearing, and the law is followed, and that problem's being rectified. But he does want to put the money in the classroom.
Yeah, but if he does want that money to go into the classrooms, where do you get the money?
Well, you don't get it right now. You don't get it. You have to fix the constitutional issue. But I agree with Marcus. I don't think this is as big a deal. An immediate. It has some immediate issues, but it's fixable and it's doable to get it fixed.
All right, now let's move on to another big topic here in Arizona. We are a border state. President Donald Trump has announced he wants to send National Guard troops down to the border. Not a lot of details on when that's going to happen. We've heard reports of somewhere between 2,000, 4,000 troops at the border. It could be happening next week. Marcus, your take on this? We've done this before.
I was going to say, this is old hat for us, Dennis. You know, President Obama has done it. President Bush has done it. This is nothing new for us. It's a national story because the rest of the country hasn't gone through this process. But for us, this is standard day.
Could the argument be made that this is a waste of money? Because we've seen the Bush administration send troops to the border. We've seen the Obama administration send troops to the border. And during both times, we did see apprehensions go down. However, apprehensions also went down when there were no National Guard troops at the border.
I think it's a tremendous waste of money, but we'll find out. We'll find out what his plan is when Fox News tells us. Okay, so he can wake up and see what his policy is going to be, and then we'll know how to respond.
Look, these guys have to train as part of their jobs, right? Once a weekend, or 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year, you might as well have them train in Arizona.
Yeah, well, I think we got some sound here from Congressman Ruben Gallego about this plan. I want to play that for you right now because he had some really strong words for the president here.
It's using our National Guard's troops who are, greatly trained. You're going to pull them out of their private lives to essentially go and try to solve a political problem. Ironically, by the way, if the president had actually worked with Congress and actually had struck a deal with us when it came to the DREAM Act and to other immigration issues, there would have been more assets at the border than he's going to end up doing with these National Guards troops.
Wasn't opposed when President Obama did it, but now is opposed that President Trump did it. I mean, it's just that easy. I mean, there's some partisan games that are being played here. The fact of the matter is, this isn't the first time we've done it.
But the question is it necessary? The president has made it sound as though we're just like swamped with people crossing the border.
President Obama said it was necessary and did it.
The numbers don't prove that. Even the Homeland Security numbers don't.
If President Obama wants to come out and say it's a bad policy, I made a mistake, then maybe we've got something to talk about. But until that happens, I think the Democrat president and a Republican president both agree.
It was a mistake when President Obama did it.
All right. I'm going to have to end it right there. I always like ending with an argument between you two guys.
Oh, we got more.
Thanks a lot. But that is all the time we have tonight, and thanks for joining us. And be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged.